Not every extinction is final. Time and again, it's shown that some animals thought to be gone might have survived longer in remote regions than we assume. In this video, I'll introduce you to 7 species where clues, sightings, or scientific studies leave questions unanswered. Stay until the end. The last animal is a symbol of the Ice Age and one of the most fascinating cases in modern research. Number 7. Deinosuchus. Deinosuchus is excellently documented from the late Cretaceous period of North America. Fossils from Texas, Montana, and North Carolina show that this prehistoric crocodile could reach lengths of over 10 meters. Analyses of its skull prove an enormous bite pressure, likely stronger than that of any reptile living today. The species went extinct about 73 million years ago, likely due to climate changes and the disappearance of large prey animals. Nevertheless, in the southern United States, reports kept surfacing of unusually large footprints found along remote riverbeds. Some sediment tracks are deeper and wider than those of known alligator populations. In the 1930s and the 1950s, bite marks were documented on wooden boats where the tooth spacing was unusually wide. Biologists point out that areas still exist in the Mississippi Delta today that have never been fully mapped. Even if no clue replaces proof, these finds show how little we know about remote freshwater ecosystems. Whether these are cases of misinterpretation, unusually large individuals, or simply artifacts of geological processes remains unclear. Another example is now provided by a species whose presumed extinction is much more recent and has still not been scientifically settled. Number 6. The moa. New Zealand's moas were a group of flightless ratites, some species of which grew to over 3 meters tall. Radiocarbon dating shows that they likely went extinct in the 15th century, primarily due to intensive hunting and habitat loss after the arrival of the Maori. Finds from over 20 sites, including Te Waka and Pyramid Valley, proved their wide distribution at the time. But the exact date of extinction remains a subject of research. In the year 2009, a team from the University of Adelaide analysed subfossil bones and discovered that some populations might have survived for longer than previously assumed. In remote valleys of the South Island, large footprints have repeatedly appeared that couldn't be attributed to any known modern species. Some reports come from forestry workers and hunters from the 1980s and 1990s. Not a single case has been scientifically confirmed, but New Zealand's mountains and valleys are among the most difficult to access regions in Oceania. Whether these are late remnant populations, misinterpretations, or measurement errors remains an open question. It gets even more complex with a species that only disappeared in the 20th century, with possible evidence reaching into recent times. Which animal do you personally believe would have the best chance of having survived undiscovered until today? A giant bird or a prehistoric reptile species? Number 5. The Tasmanian Tiger. The Tasmanian tiger, also known as the thylacine, was, alongside the Tasmanian devil and the marsupial lion, the largest carnivorous marsupial and has been considered extinct since 1936, after the last known specimen died in the Hobart Zoo. Historical records show that the species was previously decimated on a massive scale by government bounties, but since the 1940s, reports have continued to come in. Striped dog-like animals with a stiff gait in the remote forests of Tasmania. In 1961, a group of wildlife rangers in northern Tasmania documented a sighting that is considered particularly credible. In 2016, James Cook University published a report on several modern sightings in the Cape York area, whose descriptions were anatomically surprisingly consistent. Genetic testing of individual hair samples found in the 21st century also led to results that could not be clearly identified. Researchers emphasize, however, that confusion with foxes, dingoes, or introduced dog breeds is possible. Whether the thylacine survived longer than officially documented remains unproven. but the case shows how difficult it is to completely rule out populations of rare, shy species in large forested areas. A second case from modern times is also causing discussion, this time from Central Africa. Number 4. Mokele-Mbembe. In the Congo Basin, local communities have reported for centuries of a large herbivorous animal that crosses rivers and flattens vegetation. In reports from the early 20th century, including those by Ernest A. Vizitelli and later expeditions, descriptions emerge that often share similar basic characteristics: a massive body, a long neck, and powerful legs. No sighting has ever been scientifically confirmed. Yet the Congo Basin remains one of the least explored ecosystems on Earth today. Several expeditions between 1910 and 1980 documented prints and movements on the water's surface that could not be clearly identified. Modern researchers point out that many sightings are likely attributable to known species like bull hippos, particularly large monitor lizards or crocodiles. Nevertheless, the region remains sparsely documented, making a complete exclusion difficult. The problem of missing data becomes even clearer with a species we know excellently from fossils, yet modern clues about it still circulate. Number 3. Titanoboa. Titanoboa cerrejonensis is clearly documented. In 2009, over 100 vertebrae and large skull remains were found in the Cerrejón coal mine in Colombia. These fossils show that the snake was up to 14 meters long. The reconstruction of its habitat revealed that it lived in the swampy forests of the Paleocene at temperatures exceeding 30 degrees Celsius. From the Amazon region, however, there have been repeated reports since the 20th century of exceptionally large snakes whose described lengths exceed those of today's anacondas. Some expeditions in the 70s and 90s noted observations where animals disappeared into riverbeds, their girth being difficult to estimate. A much-discussed satellite image from the 1990s shows an elongated object in a remote tributary of the Amazon, but the resolution is too low for a clear interpretation. Biologists point out that new vertebrate species are described in the Amazon every year. Whether the reports stem from particularly large anacondas, optical illusions, or inaccurate distance estimates remains unclear. The limited data on Titanoboa highlights how difficult it is to make statements about large, rare species. This problem is even more evident in the ocean, where the exploration of deep-sea habitats still shows significant gaps today. Number 2. Megalodon. Otodus Megalodon was the largest known shark in Earth's history. Its teeth reached lengths of over 17 centimeters. Fossil finds from early Pliocene layers prove that the species went extinct about 3.6 million years ago. But the deep sea remains extremely poorly explored. Modern oceanography covers only about 5% of the ocean floor with sufficient resolution. Occasionally, research vessels report sonar signals from large animals whose movement patterns cannot be clearly assigned to any known shark. Whales are occasionally documented with bite marks whose dimensions are difficult to interpret, as decomposition and predation by multiple species may be involved. None of these clues are considered proof of the megalodon's survival, but they show the enormous gap in our understanding of large marine predators. While the deep sea is barely explored, another animal shows how surprisingly close past and present can sometimes be. Number 1. The Woolly Mammoth. The well-known Mammuthus primigenius disappeared about 4,000 years ago, much later than many other Ice Age animals. The last known populations lived in isolation on Wrangel Island in the Arctic Ocean. There, genetic analyses published in 2015 in the journal Current Biology show that they existed until about the year 2100 BC. At the same time, there are reports from Siberian hunters from the 19th and early 20th centuries about large shaggy animals in remote tundra areas. Some of these stories were documented by ethnographers. Modern expeditions occasionally found well-preserved hair samples, which, however, could mostly be assigned to known species. Satellite data show movement lines of large animals that remain unclear due to low resolution. Whether these clues are related to mammoths, other large animals, or natural terrain changes remains open. But the size and remoteness of Siberia leave many questions unanswered. Maybe we don't have to bring mammoths back at all.